Good night, and welcome to Mindful Life 530. I'm your host, Nathan Springer. Thank you for being here. It is presently the 2nd of October. October has begun. The 10th month of the year. My, how time flies. Whether you're having fun or not. You don't have to have fun for the time to fly. It flies either way, really and truly. We can't stop it from flying. It has the wings, it flies. Good night, Cardell Drizzy Edwards. Good night to all of you inside of the live chat over there on TikTok. Once you're on the inside, make sure you hit that like button. 2 taps real quick on the screen does the job. If you're looking at this over on YouTube or on repeat live, however you're looking at this, hit that like button, subscribe. Make sure you drop a comment, tell me what you think. I do read all of those comments. So yeah, get the comments flowing over on YouTube and share the video to people who might like this kind of stuff. Best way to get it done. We just have to make the best of it. Yes, well, that's kind of the mantra for life, innit? We just got to make the best of it. We just got to make the best of it. Anyway, people, we're on the inside and we're talking. It's a Thursday, so once you're willing to ask a question, if you want to debate something, if you want to discuss something, if you maybe want to argue with me, let's jump in, ask your questions. You can join in over on TikTok and actually join with the live discussion and speak if you are so inclined or interested. We see in the news this week, the Dragon deal seems to be resurrected from the dead according to our present administration. And they must use the word resurrected because they were the administration that announced its death. So if you announced its death, in order for it to be back on the table, it must be resurrected. Was now hunting for your life to sustain me for the night, and then up comes your notification. Yeah, bro. What you think about the Dragon gas deal? I didn't really follow the news. Well, the Dragon gas deal, I think, is beautiful if it works. Beautiful. I'd love it. I don't know how it works though. I don't know how we are going to get that to feasibly work. The resources belong to Venezuela. The resources belong to Venezuela. But a third party country, the United States, is giving us permission to work on a deal with Venezuela for those resources. But the deal must not benefit the Venezuelan government, who owns the resources. My question is how two persons who don't own an object can make an agreement on it. Trinidad Sketch says, well, the agreement is on a deal. That's what the agreement is. The agreement is on a deal. There's an agreement that we now have permission to go through and make a deal with Venezuela. And here's the thing, Otis, you're saying give it to the churches. I was looking at that. If you say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We can't spend the money and give it to you, so what we'll do is we'll pay Junior Sammy, send Junior Sammy over to Caracas, and he will pave roads from a side in Venezuela, and that will be the payment. That way we're not paying the Venezuelan government. But even if you were to do something like that, donate something to Venezuela, you are easing up the Venezuelan government from having to pay otherwise for these services. Are we going to see KPB negotiate with the same so-called dictatorship? Pure hypocrites, Boo says. I don't think it's hypocrisy to negotiate with dictators having called them dictators. You know, a dictator isn't automatically a negative thing. A dictator is a descriptive word. So someone could be, you could be calling someone a dictator and you don't mean it as an insult. Now, I don't think it would be hypocritical to go negotiate with someone you call a dictator. Where I think the problem would be is on the whole narco-terrorist side. If you call someone a narco-terrorist, how do you then negotiate with them? These people, according to you, are the head honchos of an international narco trafficking cartel. Are you now going to negotiate with them as honest actors? How does that work? Because if your suggestion is true, then there isn't really negotiation to be had. No, he won't, Otis. He has already said that they're doing a wait and see style of looking at this. Venezuela not budging on dragon adopts wait and see approach. Suggest TNT, US need to stop insults. Eman Leopold says business is business, Bran. I agree. I think he would have done the business, but part of the business is ensuring that he can't do business. So we're getting permission to do business with his resources. It's not his resources, I'm using that loosely. With his resources, but we can't do business with him. So I agree, business is business. You could do business. But how are you doing that? And then, in the business is business category, if you're speaking like that, then don't attempt to moralize to us about narco trafficking and narco terrorists. Because if business is business to you, then let's not pretend like you're actually offended by someone selling a product on the international market. If you're a business is business kind of person. Where is Shell? I was saying this today in a discussion with someone. I think the way to see what really is happening here is to look at the people that are spending private money. Don't look at our Prime Minister, our administration, because it's in their best interest to make us feel like Dragon is all going to work out in their favor. And they may even spend money to do that. Shell, on the other hand, I don't think so necessarily. So, if we look to see where or when Shell starts spending, then you could tell me something. If after the Marco Rubio statement, we saw Shell immediately started pouring money into investigating the field and starting work and restarting the work and the research down there, now you could tell me something. But until I see people spending their money in that direction, after the 3 boats or so were blown up, US Trump says drugs have stopped entering the US. I wonder if the US has anything to do with that major drug bust we had in Trinidad. When was that? Yesterday? I wonder if that's US intelligence also. Because it's possible that US intelligence would be able to identify, find, see where they go, see where they stash it off and all of that, but might not necessarily be able to attack them because they're in Trinidad waters. But what if the US resources right outside in the Caribbean Sea saw the movement of those smugglers and informed our police? Wasn't it some ridiculously high number that the drugs were estimated having a value of? So, I mean, that's interesting. $314 million estimated with. That is interesting. That is interesting. That's not a bust that we see in Trinidad generally. And I was pleasantly surprised that although most of it was grass, some of it was powder too. That's a shocker, because it seems to me like our TTPS never finds powder. They're vegetarian. They're really good at finding grasses, but somehow powder always eludes them. But this time powder was included. This time there was powder in the bust. I was shocked and blown away. And it has me wondering, is this a US intelligence bust? And like, here's a reality. If it was US intelligence, then the TTPS must act on it, and must act in a more honest manner on it. If through official diplomatic military channels, the US sends information of a large cash and shipment of drugs landing in Trinidad, and then it is revealed that the police never made the bust, and that the amount they found was something like quarter the amount that was noticed, then immediately the US channels will know exactly how corrupt our TTPS is. So if it indeed was information shared from the US, it may be why they had to act also. Wouldn't that be interesting? I wonder how that would all go. If indeed, as I said from the beginning, if indeed the drugs in our country begins drying up, I think things will get very interesting. I would like to see it, to be honest with you. I think things might get violent first, but maybe for the better afterwards. Maybe for the better afterwards. Well, you know, Boo, really and truly, the decriminalization was more for that kind of intent. That's the intent in the decriminalization. It's not, the intent isn't to boom and import business. The intent was people could grow their own. So who knows? It may stimulate just that. Interesting times. Trinidad without powder is great. Without grass. Well, as Boo said, the thing without the grass is the grass can be grown. The grass can be grown. So if people have a need, they feel like they have a compulsion, well, grow your vegetation. You can't grow the powder though. So it would be interesting. I'd like to see it. Have your 5, was it 5 trees? 5? 4. They can't grow enough. Well, people need to learn. Maybe that's the future. Instead of selling those products, you sell planting knowledge. Addicts will always find something. People will get innovative. The thing is, I don't think that is 100% true that they'll find something. Whiskey still legal, yes it is. Only thing missing is the legal importations of seeds. I wondered that. You decriminalize this thing. You tell people they can grow it. But where are they going to get the seeds from? It's like it's nearly understood. We're okay with you going and get it where you get it. And then I remember, was that about 2 years ago, they arrested one of the herbal activists of Trinidad, a woman. They arrested her because she had a whole nursery. She had a whole nursery seeking to give people seedlings, and they arrested her because, well, obviously you have more than 4. And I think it should be 4 adult female plants. Like, shouldn't that be a stipulation? You can't have more than 4 adult female plants. Exactly, you will get some male, so it should be 4 adult female plants. Because if someone is a daily user, growing 4 plants and hoping they're female after 3 to 6 months or however long you're going to take, that's a hard ask for them. We just have to pray that fentanyl don't come to our shores. Yeah, it did come to our shores. I believe they found fentanyl here. Wasn't there an incident recently where some fentanyl went missing or something of the such? So it's already here. The thing is, fentanyl, as far as I understand, isn't as much of a standalone drug, but they use it to cut many other drugs also. So I don't know if it's necessarily so much that we're expecting it to come here, or what we don't want is for any of the smart men to start to use it in mixing any of their cocktails. I've heard that it's said in Trinidad there are fellas out there mixing and making pills all on their own. And people swallowing this. Like, are you people crazy? You go to some random party and swallow some random pill that some random person concocted. You must be a fool. Fool you must be. I think it's used in our health sector. Yes, fentanyl is used in the health sector, as many drugs are. Anyway, people, we on the inside. Make sure you hit that like button. Any questions or comments? What's on your mind, people? Never a fan of tablets. Neither me. I don't even drink homemade wine from any and everyone. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. You know, you could get that wrong. You could get that homemade alcohol wrong. And instead of making ethanol, you end up making methanol. I believe, I can't remember which country it was. Some Caribbean territory a few years ago had an incident where men died after a party where they drank some babash, basically, that wasn't well made. The person who made it didn't know what they were doing too well. And well, it was the last drink for some of those fellas. What's your views on the free movement that Barbados is championing? I like the free movement, but I also understand why it keeps running into problems. The main reason, and Dr. Rowley, I believe, said this when he was Prime Minister, one of the main reasons that the Caribbean CARICOM is struggling with that free movement business is because of the inequalities, the inequities inside of the Caribbean region. If there's full freedom of movement and Haiti is included, who is going to stay in Haiti? I mean, there will be people, yes, but you're understanding that you're opening up your country to be flooded by lower class, lower level, poorer people, to speak bluntly. Shouldn't we wait for America to replace the Maduro government before we negotiate the new dragon? I don't know, because I don't know if the Americans are going to successfully replace Maduro and when that is going to happen. So, but I like the idea of the freedom of movement. Now, Prime Minister Gaston Brown from Antigua, about 2 years now, has been lamenting and attempting to get the CARICOM to change. What is a bane of his view on inter-Caribbean islands dealings? And he said one of the main problems that he finds is that air travel in between the islands are extremely expensive. And he was saying the main reason for that is actually taxes. The governments of these islands are, as it were, artificially making inter-island travel more expensive than it needs to be. And I agree with those things. Why, if you're a Caribbean territory and we're supposed to be the Caribbean community, why should we be charging a tax on inter-flights? Shouldn't they be tax-free, tax-exempt? I think something like that might be even earlier on in tackling that Caribbean freedom of movement business. The barriers, we need to reduce them. Before we seek to get legislation in place that basically says a person is okay to... No. As it is, if you are a CARICOM person, you could travel to most Caribbean territories without problems. The problem to get there is money for most people. Well, some prime ministers might say it's easier said than done, especially when their main source of income is tourism. But you see, you have to, you're right, dream chaser, the way some see it, but you have to ask yourself a question. If I could have a flight to Barbados for $1,000, when I go over to Barbados, my vacation budget was $10,000. When I go over to Barbados, if my flight is $1,000, I'm still going to spend the rest over in Barbados. But if my vacation budget is still the $10,000, but a flight to Barbados is $3,000, then it's going to be less money I spend on island. Yes, you may get more in taxes, but now I'd spend less on the island. And in fact, it's actually creating the scenario where I wouldn't come at all. Well, the country just want their taxes up front. And that's a foolhardy way to think about things. That you just want your money right now. That's how immature, unwise, broke people think. And therein might lie the problem. You have to think about it a little deeper. If we could encourage a market, where islanders vacation in our islands, that will only benefit tourism. I don't think it's going to take away. The little scrapings you were getting from the taxes, I think you'd make it back up and extra. You also gas tanks exploding. You also gas tanks out there exploding. What's the number they said? 11 or something like that? Here's this lovely story. I just perusing this and I saw this headline pop up here. Oh, I like a happy ending. Don't you like a happy ending? I like a happy ending. Mom pulls her her gun, after bandits try to rob her son. Police are investigating an attempted robbery in Laventille on Wednesday morning that was thwarted after the victim's mother, a police officer, drew her licensed firearm. Around 8 a.m., a 20-year-old man went with his mother to sell a hoodie near L&M Engineering along the Eastern Main Road. When two men approached them, one suspect placed his hand into the young man's pocket and announced a robbery. At that point, his mother drew for the peace. The second suspect shouted, "Gun boy!" And both men ran off in different directions. Such a happy ending, isn't it? Such a happy ending. I like when it turns out well. I like when it turns out well. See benefits of the firearms? There are many benefits. There are many benefits. Just saw the policeman linked to Vicky Boudreaux and prison escape is missing. Yeah, I saw that too. Right as she was released, which is very interesting. I wonder because if you recall that case, the allegations on the police officer is basically that he was smitten. If I recall correctly, the allegations were basically that, he was taken. His heart was bought and sold. Another one owns his heart presently, was the repute of how it happened. Not just conned, but right. So if it is that now she was released, and if your heart belongs there, maybe that's where he might be looking to go. Maybe he's looking to go meet the love of his life. I don't know. I just find the timing very interesting and suspicious. If it is the other direction, that he is fearful for something from her, then that's even more scary. But interesting. I don't know, maybe he took a cruise. Hey, any further questions on the inside, people? Any further questions on the inside? This long days these days. I'm looking to make some short appearances here. Don't worry, as the week progresses, hopefully by next week we should be in a good role. Yeah, brother maybe went on a little cruise somewhere. Good luck to him. And may he find the love that he searches for. I hope he is well out there. All good things to you, brother man. All good things to you. Life, bro. Any further questions or comments on the inside before we look to make an exit? Love like dove. Can't get better than that, eh? Who was that? Like, sprang in the commercial. Ooh, you can't get better than that. The White House is down. Down in what way? Down in what way are you speaking about? Did you see my article on page 14 of... No, Paul, I did not. What was that article? Oh, well, yeah, there's a government shutdown. I knew that. And I think the present US administration kind of wants that to get some things done. So we'll see how that goes. When the social welfare checks coming out, I don't know. TNT not serious about procurement. Well, of course we are not, Paul Duncan. Procurement is how the money is made. If we get too serious about the contracts business, how are people going to make money? So, for some reason, I just keep on hearing people saying they're losing their jobs here, there, and everywhere. That's not for some reason. That's because the present administration is firing a lot of people. That's why you're hearing that. They're firing a lot of people. Lots of people are losing their jobs. I think this might come back to bite the present administration in their bums. But we'll see. Because I don't think everyone they fired were out and out PNM supporters. I don't think so. When will people protest? Well, the problem there is the nature of the system we got accustomed to in the first place. A lot of people got accustomed to political handout jobs. So there's nothing to protest about when your political handout job is revoked. I'm talking about people you won't even think would lose their jobs. Yes, I'm talking about those people too. They're aiming at every way. They are aiming at every way. People who were in positions since before the partnership. I'm talking about people since 2007 in a position. Now, if they have control over it, they can knock it down. And it seems like they're aiming for that. And what would protesting do, though? What would protesting do? What would the hope of protesting be? Like, what would we do while we protest that will force the government to change their minds on something? If the people that were fired protest, do you think the government didn't know that the people they're firing are not happy about being fired? I think the government already knows that. I don't think a protest is going to make a change in that sense. The economic downside to all of this is scary, bro, honestly. Now, if it is that what they're doing is attempting to downsize the government itself, as in attempting to get government involvement out of employing so many people, then I may have said that the economic downside to this may not be that scary in the long run. But I don't think that's what they're doing. I don't think that they're looking to downsize government and do a Doge cut like the US did and make it more efficient with less. No, I don't think so. I think most of those positions will be refilled. Sometimes I feel like men like Uriah Butler and McCandle Dagger fight was for naught. McCandle Dagger fought, and then in the end took a cushy position under the partnership. And within a few months came out and said he has never seen so much corruption in his life while being under the partnership. They gave him a cushier position. Filled his mouth. Filled mouths can't speak. And he passed away, never commenting on the corruption again. So my heroes aren't there. The NIB situation, actuarial report NIS to collapse within 8 years. The fund held by the National Insurance Board will be completely done within 8 years by the fiscal year 2033-34, unless significant interventions are made, warned the 11th actuarial review of the NIS as of June 30th, 2020. Fewer workers have been entering the workforce to contribute to an ever-expanding pool of retirees, as many past NIB actuarial reports have warned, reflecting a global trend which reached crisis levels decades ago in countries with an aging population like Japan. This is why I sign off every live telling you all to go get married and make some babies. Because ultimately, Paul, that's the problem. Ultimately, that's the problem. The pension type systems were created on the pyramid of human age distribution? Or rather, what was the typical pyramid of human age distribution? As in, you're going to have a lot of people around the working age, and you're going to have fewer people at the old age. Beauty Cupid says that is not the problem, while I literally just read it as the problem from the actuarial report, from the actuaries who study this. So are you saying that they are wrong? That really and truly, it's not that less people are in the workforce. That's not the problem. So what is the problem then, Beauty Cupid? Because it's a mathematical issue. Your pension is not paid by your contributions. And that's what gets a lot of people tied up. They think their contributions that they put in every month are stored in a big basin, in a big bin somewhere. In a big bin somewhere, it's all stored. And when you reach 60, they crack the bin and start giving you some of that back. That's not what happens. It's not that big enough babies are being born, not enough people are in the world. Beauty Cupid, my day, my day. There's something called first, second, third, and it could keep going on, orders in thinking. First order is children have that. I do this and I get this. So if I turn on the pipe, I see water and I have fun. Okay. Second order is one step after that. So when I do this, this happens, then this happens. That's the second order. Or you can get third order. I do this, then this, then this, then this. So if not enough people are entering the workforce, because we don't have enough people to enter the workforce, how do we get more people? Anybody in the chat? This is the question for the ages. How do we get more people? How does NIB invest the contributions made to ensure return of investment? Are they allowed to invest? Yes, NIB is invested. I believe a lot of our funds are invested in some of those major hedge funds around the world. They invest. That's what they do. The people exist, but they are not in the workforce. Our replacement rate is down to the dogs. It's not just that the people exist but they don't enter the workforce. It's that the people aren't there. Yes, we could have always had doubles vendors, because if each family has 3.5 children, we would have enough people to do all the other things too. And just so you know, most, let me not say most, many doubles vendors do pay NIS. Many small-time workers pay NIS. Many maids cleaning people's houses pay NIS. The sandwich and roti shop with their workers, they pay NIS. Who told you that a doubles vendor doesn't pay NIS and isn't included in the workforce? Beauty Cupid, who isn't paying? Are you saying that the reason NIB isn't functioning is just because people aren't paying the contributions they're supposed to pay? That's the only reason it isn't functioning? Employers aren't paying the contributions? Because you do know, as an employee, you can go check if your employer is paying in your contributions. You can go check, and many people do. And it's not that the culture of Trinidad has decreased in NIS payment. Listen, I work in the construction contracting sector. In 2000, there were less contractors paying NIS for their laborers than there are now. We have over 400,000 PH. What? PH as in drivers? You're saying in a 1.4 million country we have 400,000 PH drivers? I may be wrong, but a self-employed cannot pay NIS? Yeah, they can. You can pay NIS for yourself. $400,000. Are you saying a sole trader cannot pay NIS? Because I am 100% certain they can. 100% certain. A lot of contracted workers not paying NIS for their workers. They are not. Some aren't. But what I'm telling you is the reality of it, being in the industry, is that it's not that there's a decrease in the culture of NIS payments. It's not that in 2000 every contractor paid NIS and now less and less contractors are paying it. No, it's actually the reverse. It's that more people are now paying NIS, even in the independent and sole trader and contracting levels. So if you're saying that NIS is getting a payment problem, NIS is having a problem with the number of payments, it's not that the culture of paying NIS contributions is on the down. I don't agree with that. Where's the proof of that? Carney 1975 Limited, the government running thing. When it was shut down, it was revealed that they weren't contributing NIS for their people. And that's since the 90s. So that has always been a Trini problem. I can't buy that this is now being a problem. It's not because of low birth rate though. Yes, it is. It quite certainly, literally is. In the most literal sense of it. If there are less people being born, there are less people entering the workforce. It is literally that simple. Quite literally that simple. And here's the thing. For the people who are still living as humans have lived, woy nisi, they're not worried, you know. My pops has 3 children. He doesn't have to worry about pension really and truly. They are wrong. If you are reading that zero effect, you are misunderstanding, because I am positive because I have paid it. Like, really. NIS is a pyramid scheme, prove me wrong. You are correct, please. That's what we said. I said that at the jump. NIS, and not just NIS, the whole idea of pensions, the principle in pensions generally works on the pyramid scheme, but the pyramid of the age distribution of humans. The age distribution of humans is a pyramid. And if you work with it as a pyramid scheme using that distribution, it can work as long as the pyramid maintains its shape. If there are enough working age people, there would be enough to maintain the smaller number of retirees. But if we have a growing number of retirees because people are living longer, they are healthier by and large, we have a growing number of retirees and a shrinking number of working people. Let me see if I could find that. The size difference in number for Gen Alpha to millennials. Let me see if I can show that. So let's look at it. And the 13 children up NIS, so not enough going into NIS. What? Well, if pyramid schemes are illegal, why are we still facilitating it? Can't we find another way? No, we can't find another way. Because the pyramid of human age distribution is how we take care of our elderly. That has been how we took care of our elderly. Before there was a retirement plan in place, your retirement plan was you have children, treat them nice enough, and your children will take care of you as you age. People learn from people, the young ones, seeing their parents struggling, they choose not to have kids. I don't buy that, you know, boo. Let me tell you why I don't buy that. Because our parents struggled the least of any humans that ever lived. Do you think humans were struggling less in the marshes of Southeast Asia or in the grasslands of Africa, of sub-Saharan Africa? Do you think they suffered less? Like, come on, struggling? That's the reason they're really struggling? I think it's actually the reverse. The reason is it's too soft. So in built up in Western countries, I believe in the US, Gen Alpha is already nearly half the size of the millennials in number. Half. That has serious implications. Look around you and you see the implications already. Fast food outlets no longer have play parks. They no longer are geared towards children because the group of people coming to the fast food outlet isn't man, woman, and 3 children. Bring some Trinidad statistics. Okay, Faith by Israel, the health secretary in Tobago, said their birth rate is catastrophically low. Catastrophically. Our health minister last year announced our birth rate is below replacement level already and trending downward. I went through this. I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head. I did an entire live on this because our former health minister released the numbers. It's severely low and dropping lower. So there are Trinidadian statistics to prove it. Let me see if I could remember that. If I could pull it up. What was the old health minister name? Terence Dial Singh. The replacement rate to keep the population steady is 2.1, and year to date it is 0.9. Dial Singh said. Dial Singh, fertility rate dropping. Let's pull up that article. Let's pull it up over on the YouTube also to make sure that we have it there. Hey, wrong one. The Alsing fertility rate dropping. This is from 26th of December 2024. Boxing Day last year. Beauty Cupid, I hope you're still on the inside. Health Minister Terence D. Alsing said the fertility rate in Trinidad and Tobago has again decreased, going from 1.2 in 2023 to 0.9 in 2022. Bear in mind the replacement rate is 2.1. We were already below the replacement rate in 23 at 1.2. In 24 we reached 0.9. Beauty Cupid, are these statistics enough for you? He said the total fertility rate was the number of births per woman aged 15 to 49 years. He said in 2015, there were 18,261 live births, with a fertility rate of 1.8, while in 2023, there have been 12,768 live births. While in 2024, there was 9,000. You hearing those numbers? 2015, 18,000 born. 23, 12,000 born. 24, 9,000 born. Are these Trinidad statistics? Does this show something happening in Trinidad? You don't think that's an issue, Beauty Cupid? Yes, I do, you. Yes, I do. But I am not a fool. I'm not a fool. I also know that a lot of complex systems collapse if there aren't enough people to keep it going. Appreciated, cuz it shows a trend in births, that's all. Beauty Cupid, if it's one thing you're stubborn, but that's okay, that's okay. You could remain that way. Even how the life has seen the wrong proven already. Everything you bring up has been proven wrong, yet you still stand by it. But that's okay. But that's okay. Yeah, you see a drastic reduction. 18 in 2015 to 9 in 24. That's half. Well, I'm telling you statistics. Anonymous statistician. But you seem not to understand the statistics. That's half. Half. And we were already not at the replacement rates. Half decrease. So what, do you think that the death rate was commensurate? Listen, if we are having half the number of people entering the workforce, we're getting half the number of workforce. Like, this is maths. For a statistician, this should be pretty straightforward. If we are getting half the number of people entering the world, then obviously we're going to have much fewer entering the workforce. 0.9 children cannot work to keep the maintenance for the pension for all of the aging adults, especially as the life expectancy expands and increases. Japan has found this out already. Many other countries are staring at this in the face. It's simple maths. And the misfortune of the simplicity of the maths is that when you reach the old age and you recognize that, wait, it's children that keep you alive after you're past a certain age. You have to have young people to keep you alive after a certain age. You can't make any children at that point. It's done too late for that. The hope is that young people who don't yet see the need would make the children to maintain the triangle of human age distribution. A lot of our systems, I think the statistician should be able to agree with this because it's statistically provable. A lot of our systems run on the reality of that distribution of ages. At least it used to run. Yes, precious Letitia, if only it was that simple. It's not. Hedonism is starting to feel better than responsibility in this economy. Yes, it is. And that's why people aren't having children. Life's nice. I can travel the world. I could enjoy myself. I could get to know myself. I could get to, really experience life. Okay, you can. You can. And many people are doing it. It's difficult. Many countries are attempting different ways to solve, and they're realizing it's actually a very difficult problem to solve. Because regularly people speak of it as an economic problem. Beauty Cupid, I feel you laughing while typing these things in it. You think we went from 18,000 births to 9,000 in 9 years because men shooting blanks? What? So in the last 9 years, something real serious happened. Listen, that is real serious. Fellas, something in the water. They're poisoning us. But yeah, it's a difficult thing to solve. Many countries are recognizing that. I'm not arguing who has more infertility, Beauty Cupid. You can argue that as much as you want. The red flag came when pets started being treated like women. And it's a cultural thing. Like, it's clearly a cultural thing. We see it all over the world. As certain cultures spread, children dry up. I believe Africa is the only continent right now maintaining that replacement rate. Yea to the Africans. I think up until very recently, I read India itself has now dropped below replacement rate. Billion people India is now below replacement rate. Their fertility rate is also dropping. It's cultural. It's a cultural thing. And where was I reading this? I think it was Mongolia. Mongolia was one of the few countries to have a reversal in some of it. And what they did, some of what they did, was cultural. As in their culture, they made changes or attempted to make changes to put mothers on a pedestal, culturally on a pedestal. Because what they believe they recognized, what they think they recognized, was that women don't want to have children because it's not seen as an important thing anymore, or as important of a thing anymore. Culturally, it's not as big a thing. It's not as frowned on a thing to be childless. And they are attempting to change that. We'll see how it all goes. I think people want the NIB to go out and invest the money and bring a 5-time return. Like when you're playing roulette. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Investment isn't magic that way. But yeah, I don't doubt that men's fertility could be struggling. I don't doubt that, because the testosterone levels in men has plummeted over the last 60 years or so. So I wouldn't be surprised if infertility is spiking in men. I, however, don't believe that our fertility rate has dropped to 0.9 because men are trying but are unable to. Like, we're not buying that. We aren't buying that. Beauty Cupid, are you a millennial? Are you a childless millennial woman by chance? You sound like someone with vested interest in defending the position of a woman going down with no children. You seem very invested in that position because the logic has passed your position a long time now. Yet you are fighting tooth and nail, bringing and raking every tangential statistic you could find to do it. A lot of young people now have small businesses that don't contribute to NIB rather than 9-to-5 jobs. Small businesses can contribute if you wanted to, Kevin Smith. It can contribute. I like the all angles. Don't get me wrong, I like the all angles. I just find it very interesting, passing strange, that you are willing to look at all angles except less children. Not that one. No. It's not we having less children. Anything else. We'll dig up 50 miles underground to find another reason. It can't be the one that is staring us in the face. You used to not enough children only, but that's not. Oh, well, I'm not saying that's the only factor, Beauty Cupid. If that's what you're getting from what I'm saying, it is not. It is not the only factor. It is not the only factor that we aren't having enough children with NIB. That's not the only factor there. But that is a major factor. That is a major factor. I mean, millennials. I am a millennial. I know many of my peers are not living the life that typical humans have lived since humanity has existed. There weren't many 35-year-old childless women in the history of humanity. Statistics could show that. You could look up those statistics. So that is a major change. We have a very uninteresting job market. I find you have to make your job interesting, man. You have to make your job interesting. There are interesting jobs there if you want to make it interesting. Part of the problem might be the amount of public sector jobs that strangle the economy to some extent. But you could find a job and make it interesting. Make a new job. Make a company. Make a company do something. Make a company and do something that you're so interested in. But the truth is, though, jobs were never really meant to be super interesting. That's a modern concept, that somehow your job has to be the most mentally stimulating and fulfilling event in order for you to do it. That's kind of modern creation. People, I think probably if I were to put a guess statistic to that, 99.99999999999% of people who worked in their life as humans through history didn't exactly enjoy their jobs that much. And I don't think we could, or it's a fair expectation to look for enjoyment in a job. But the job should at least pay enough for people to survive and have kids. 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that. Fill all the posts in the public service. No, fire the whole public service and privatize everything. Alright, people, that's all I have for now. I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. I am Nathan Springer. This has been the Mindful Live Show. I'll see you guys again next time around that 9:30 p.m. time. Until then, people, hold it down. Stay good. Stay inside, outside, a little sketchy. Go find somebody nice, son, daughter, marry them, make them an honest person, and make some babies for us. The country needs it. The country needs you to do your service. Go do your service. Like, look at the kind of thing the country needs from you. People talking about wanting a fun job. How much more fun of a job can you want? I mean, on the woman's side, after the 9 months, for about a day especially, and probably a month or so, it's not the most fun you'd have. But in terms of initiating the crafting of the children that we need, lots of fun to be had out there, people. Lots of fun to be had out there. All right, be mindful, not mindless. I'm Nathan Spring. I'll see you guys again next time. Until then, hold it on. Stay good, stay well.